we were looking for like a couple floor toms to use, and we found one, and then there was another. The second one was actually Turnstiles floor tom, and they were just like, "Dude, make sure we get that back."
What is up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. This is the Scope Exposure Podcast. I'm really excited about this episode today. It seems that there's been a lot of bands who have been kind of like a dragon that's gone into slumber, and then kind of things have started to reemerge, and there's a bunch of exciting things with new music. And Trail of Lies is kind of like one of those bands, at least to me. I got put on to them pretty early on in like 2018, and when there was rumblings of a new record, I was thinking, hey, I should just reach out to Tom and see if he'd be down to do the pod, and here we are. And so I'm very excited to be welcoming Tom of Trail Lies on the Scope Exposure Podcast. Thanks for joining me, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the kind words too.
Of course. Yeah. It's funny too. This is a very quick aside before we get into the rest of it, but I think Trail and Trial, one of my very, very old bands from back in the day had an EP that we called Trials, and I think I was so like, it's just the one placement of that one layer. So I don't know if people come up to you and it's like, I love your band Trail of Lies.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we get it all, especially like just normies be like, the Trails of Lies or whatever.
The Trails of Lies.
Yeah. There's just multiple trails,
Yeah. But dude, I really appreciate you sitting down with me today to talk some stuff about the band, some stuff about Gold Set. But before we get into all that, we always do a bev check to kind of start the episode. So it's tradition for the guests to go first and showcase what they got.
Okay. I got an Owen shake. We're vegan here. So
okay.
I got some protein. It's chocolate peanut butter, 32 grams of protein, pea protein too.
Nice.
No sugar or barely any. Yeah. What about you guys?
Well, before I get into my bev, that's the first time I'm seeing that, so naturally I have many bev questions. Is that a kind of a ongoing drink in the fridge for you, or kind of a cool?
Yeah, my girlfriend does all the ordering here for like that stuff, and she keeps us stocked. She's a personal trainer, so she
nice
has a couple accounts for stuff like that. We have like protein bars, protein shakes, and we're pretty particular on stuff like that because we're vegan, and we also try not to have too much sugar and just weird shit that goes into your food,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it tastes great. And
yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Chocolate peanut butter. That's that's a deadly thing. Whether it's like just a sugary snack or something that's a little bit healthier, that's gonna get you ready for your gym sesh.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. So I don't know how much you do for like random crazy little beverages, but I'm a pretty big bev fanatic, and I've been holding on to this drink for a long time, and I'm not trying to out bev you by any means because yours looks very, very, very dope. But so I'm going to be drinking, I think I have to honestly figure out what the actual brand is called. I think it's Qin, and this is the can. So I got a bit of a green screen, so some of it is keyed out, but it's a craft cold brew yerba mate energy drink.
They're just combining everything nowadays.
I know. I was like, how you're taking all the caffeine, like you're taking the caffeine trio and you're combining it.
Yeah.
So Qin is the brand, and the flavor is acai berry and cherry. So I'm and vegan as well. For shout out to you
Respect.
and all the
Love
all the vegans. Um,
it.
but I should read how much caffeine content, because I know some people are some big nerds on that end, and it seems that there's 150 milligrams of natural caffeine. So that's what
Okay.
I'm drinking.
Yerba, and then so it's yerba, cold brew, and what else?
Well, it says craft cold brew yerba mate energy drink. So it might not have like just like a Red Bull energy drink, whatever those substances are, but maybe it's just like combining. But cold brew and yerba mate, I'm kind of
Cool.
nervous, if anything, but
Yeah, you might not be sleeping tonight.
yeah. Yeah, well, we were talking before the recording, and anyone that follows my personal, I mentioned that I do some real estate photography as like my main work stuff, and I'm doing a twilight shoot tonight, and the sun setting in Calgary, Alberta, right now is usually around 9:50. That might be the earliest, so I'm gonna have to be up anyways. So
9:50 it sets?
9:50 p.m. Yeah, even later. What's the sun? Because Calgary, I don't know if you know, but we have the longest amount of like sun exposure in Canada. So when it's like summertime, like sometimes like the sun isn't setting until like 11 o'clock, which is crazy.
But what's it like in the winter?
Oh yeah,
Is
it
it
will be setting at 4 p.m. and it's the worst.
fuck.
Yeah,
Is there a lot of
9:20 tonight.
damn,
Yeah. Well, Tom,
damn. Cheers.
cheers to you, bud. Excited to do this.
Yeah. How's it
There's
taste?
a lot going on here. The berry and the cherry is like very prominent. I don't know if it's like a 50-50 between cold brew and yerba mate, because I almost taste more yerba mate.
Yeah.
I knew this was a high risk, high reward kind of drink to have on the show. So
Yeah.
first sip, I'm like a little shook. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see how it
Okay.
goes. If I start shaking a little too much, just let me know.
Okay.
So Tom, anytime a new guest comes here on the show, because some people, I just enjoy the chats with them so much, I want to have them on, multiple times. They come back for episode 2 or episode 3. But since it's your first time here, I always like to start off with the same intro question, which is, what's kind of your hardcore origin story? What was kind of the records, the show, or even the breakdown that kind of like put you on the path that you find yourself on?
Yeah. I wish my story was cooler. Maybe actually kids like these bands now, so maybe it is cool, but like my intro, like first shows were Poison the Well, Every Time I Die, Throwdown, Bleeding Through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like the Trust Kill Records roster and stuff like that. I was a part of the street team. I don't know if like that people remember that, but it's like you would sign up on the internet for their street team and they would send you stuff in the mail, like samplers or compilations and stuff, like maybe just like little flyers. But yeah, I was big into that, 18 Visions. But I remember going to like a Bleeding Through show and I saw this big eagle logo and under it said Tear. And like this dude was wearing it. It was just like so big, bold, and like strong. And I was like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
should check it out. So there's this place called Soundgarden, and I used to go there for like looking at records and getting everything used. I would just open up records, read through the thank yous, and like see who they shouted out. Like if I liked Internal Affairs, I would like look up to see who they thanked and be like, oh, Carry On, and like go listen to them. And it really just went from there. Um,
Mhm.
to this day, Terror is still one of my favorite bands.
For sure.
So
And I think you said that you're seeing them tonight after we record this episode.
yeah, about to walk the bridge and go see them, and then we're
Nice.
playing shows for them this weekend too. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's very sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up the street team aspect because there's definitely like some younger people that listen to the show, but there's I'm 31 now, and I remember the days of like
okay,
almost
yeah,
like people who were on street teams of like, oh, you got the in to like this
yeah,
the Victory Records or whatever thing it was at the time, and getting all this free shit. And I don't know if there's a subtle like resurgence of that maybe recently. I'm seeing a couple homies of mine like almost do like DIY street teams, so it's not like necessarily a bigger label, but I think that's sick to just have people who are like sign me up and I'll go sticker, whatever band's logo around my city.
I loved it. I thought it was so great, and plus, like, as soon as I heard and got involved in the music, like, I was just like, "What else can I do? What else is there?" And I was just like a sponge. I took everything in.
Hmm.
It's That's why hardcore is so cool. It's just like it's a big community. People want to be a part of something, and it feels nice to be a part of something, especially something so small and niche, which is hardcore music.
Hmm.
Yeah, it felt great.
Yeah. So I guess like seeing that terror show, like, did that like essentially springboard you into everything, like playing in bands, or was it kind of like a slower burn to find some other stuff as well?
Yeah, like when I found out about Poison the Well and all of those bands, it was from my friend Ben Shaw in 7th grade. I like met him in homeroom and he was just so extreme looking. He had like rings on all of his hands and a Slipknot t-shirt, a mohawk, and I was just listening to Blink-182. I was like, "What's up, man? Like, what is your like?" It's so funny. Like back in the day, you just like as a kid, you're so just you just go up and talk to other people.
Hmm.
We became best friends, and we still are. And like he just put me on to so much stuff. It was definitely like a lot of new metal, like whatever. And he convinced me to get a guitar, and he played drums, and we would just play the worst music after school on a Friday. I would take the bus home with him and just write Jun Jun music all the time, and
Hmm.
we would discover other stuff. We'd be like, "Oh, like Slipknot's a little crazy. We can't really play that." So like we'd look up like Terror and like First Blood, and like we were pretty into like heavier stuff. Like so like Death War Dishonor would play Syracuse and surrounding areas a lot. Um CDC, swear to God, all like those kinds of bands, and then like gradually got into like Chromax, Bad Brains, and Gnostic Front and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that was like pretty much the origin. It was just like him and I just like jamming, and then we started like some other bands, and the one of my first, I don't know what defines like a real band, but it was called Forfeit, and we were on Reaper Records. So
Hmm.
like put out a 7-inch and LP on that label. Did some touring with some bands, and that was pretty much like for my first band. And then we broke up, and then I joined Naysayer, then Naysayer to Trail, and now I'm in both of those bands.
Right. And just correct me if I'm wrong. Were you just doing guitar in those other projects prior to fronting?
Yeah, sorry. So it was mainly guitar, so bad at guitar, still bad at guitar, and then switched over to bass for Forfeit, and then joined on bass in Naysayer. But I still like would play guitar. Like I do most of the writing for Trail.
Yeah.
Um, so like I keep a guitar around, and I go to practice with Harry and JD and try to play it, and it's just so bad. But I feel like I'm an idea person, so I come up with ideas and like the meat and potatoes, and then
Right.
like they just take it from there and make it a little bit more interesting. Harry adds his sauce with drums. JD adds his style to it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mainly guitar and bass, and then dude, trail started and like I'm kind of like writing. Are releasing a book with our pre-order, and it's kind of just like touching on like how we started and whatever.
Oh, okay.
And started in 2010 or 2011. We've had like different eras where like we just like release music, don't do anything for years. Release music, don't do anything for years. Like it's just purely like for the love of music, I guess. Like there's no ego, there's no real like desire to be an enormous band, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
have it. I have it on my notes that you guys had the demo out in 2011, and
yeah,
I was like, I didn't even know that existed like prior to doing all my research because I thought it was just Strength Through Discipline was the first drop, but like huge
yeah.
gap in between those releases.
And now there's another big gap, and it's like now I really feel old when I'm like doing this shit. It's like I don't know, but it's fun. It's like we'll probably just play some shows for a couple years, and then I don't know. I mean, we're already kind of writing some more music, so like we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
that's the fun of it, you know. It's like this isn't our career. Like hardcore, for better for worse, right now is very, very popular, and I feel like there's some people trying to make careers out of it, and that was never our thing, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just nice having no expectations, no. I wouldn't say there's no goals, but there's no like crazy goals, you know.
No unrealistic goals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that like the more I do stuff, I'm just kind of like content with just having things come my way. Like obviously you want to like, if you can sniff out opportunities and you want to jump on stuff, absolutely. But like instead of
Yeah.
coming like when I was 17, it was like coming out the gate like I want to be on a label. I want to be touring 300 days of the year. I want to be doing this. And then obviously you get a little wiser and a little older. It's like actually that's and for some that is their reality and that's fucking sick and like, power to them. But I think for the majority of people like I think hardcore you can be a kind of you can either be the most active, the most non-active or somewhere middle of the road, but all those levels can still get a cool opportunity like playing on a fest depending on like the quality of your music. It doesn't need to matter like are the wheels turning? If someone's like, I think this record is fucking dope, I want you to play, that's all it kind of takes.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
It's also nice, just like when I was younger, I was kind of the same. I was just like, I want to do this. Like, I still do that. I'm a person, I can't sit still. I start businesses or projects and stuff or bands. And I want to do so many things, but it's like at the end of the day, like, I would worry about like where I'm going to end up, what I'm going to do. But it's just like, if you just kind of like work hard, be authentic, and just like do what you love, things just work out. And I'm just kind of been trusting the process. It can be kind of corny. I don't really care, but like it's worked for me, you know, and that's how I've gotten to where I'm at now. And that's kind
Yeah.
of really how we look at trail. Like we write, we actually started writing down words that we wanted to describe the music that we wrote, and words that were thrown around were authentic, timeless, and pure, and like has heart, you know. Like
Yeah.
I feel like our music isn't something that is trendy. We just kind of do the same thing, maybe evolve a little bit with each release that we do, but that's really it. Like we write music at the end of the day that we like to listen to. We would love for people to like it, fit to it, but at the end of the day, we want to listen to it. And it would be cool to look back 10 years from now and be like, oh, that record still hits, you know?
Oh,
It's like,
absolutely. Yeah. It's like no amount of time off of like a unintentional like trail hiatus, if anything, like, I could still go back to like war and be like, I want to go to war for this band because these songs are so fucking sick.
thank you.
Also, this is a quick aside. I don't know for the audio listeners, because like some people who are watching this on YouTube versus like Spotify. Is that your dog snoring in the background? I'm not. I'm not saying you got to wake him up.
I'm
I was
like,
just like, there's
great.
either like a car that's driving on like a roundabout outside or something like that. But
Might have him go to his crate. Crate, it's okay. Go to your crate.
well, as the dog parent, I feel bad for pointing this
Boy,
out. He's like, I didn't do it. I'm just sleeping.
boy. He loves his crate though. He loves it.
I mean, I will be the first to admit I have 2 border collie mixes, and I couldn't tell the amount of episodes where I've had to like mute my audio because they've just been barking at the mailman or whatever in the background. So
It's funny. He's actually not a vocal dog at all, but he has a very deep and like loud like snore, you know?
snore. Okay, gotcha.
My girlfriend hates this, but I've taught him how to speak. So when I say speak, he does this like deep growl. But he's a very good dog, so he doesn't bark at anyone or anything.
Right.
Get him to do it. He does this like really deep growl. And there's actually a song we're putting out with like it's kind of got like a chant almost in it, and we have him like layered low in it to like
Dude,
add.
that's fucking sick.
You can't hear it too much, but it's pretty
If
cool.
you look for it, you'll hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's so sick. I think dog owners putting their puppers on record in that way, like, um, my band is working on some new music as well, and I'm trying to find a cool part that I can just have them like just yapping,
Yeah,
kind of mixed in together. But before we get lost in the sauce about dog ownership, because I'm sure we could spend hours on that. Um,
yeah,
so 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 you guys, let's talk about like the new record that will be coming out. I think I actually didn't write down the day here, but I know it's in July, correct?
yeah. I want to say July 19th. It's a couple
Yes.
weeks before This Is Hardcore.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
July 19th, as far as the time of recording this, you guys have put out the title track as a single, only the strong. So like I like the idea how you were saying that you guys like wrote down kind of the hero words of this record and kind of have been writing to that as a bit of a like a north star. So talk to me
yeah,
about just like the overall writing process with the current lineup and how you guys are connecting to those words that you wrote down.
yeah. So in around COVID, I moved to Richmond, and I was like, "Oh, this like COVID hit," and it's like, "Okay, I got time. Let me try to write some music." I would like pick up my guitar and like nothing came out. It just like didn't I didn't seem inspired. I was just also like focused on goal set, you know? Um, but there was a snowstorm when I lived in Buffalo, New York, and it was like the end of 23, I guess. It was a really bad storm and it hit for like 7 days. I mean, you guys get snow, so you know what it's like.
Oh
It was
yes.
for 6 days during Christmas. We literally couldn't leave. No one could leave. Like you physically couldn't. There was snow barricading us in. Like couldn't go to the store. It was kind of fucked up. There were like I think 60 people that died in the city.
Oh
So
wow.
during yeah, it was crazy.
Mm.
So during that week, my it was fucking dope. My girlfriend and I just like watched Christmas movies, ate cookies, and like I was like, you know what? Let me just like see if I can write some music. So like picked up my guitar and like I had some ideas flowing, and it's like, I mean, you know, with like creative stuff, when you get something going, it just feels so nice. So I just kept it going, and um, I use Logic and used it for like making beats and shit like that. So I was like, let me just see if I can put drums in. So I do like kick snare, and shit like that. So it was me in Buffalo, New York, writing songs in Logic, programming drums as best as I could, and recording guitar on like a shitty Ibanez practice amp. Sounded so bad, but it's like it was nice to like get it going, and I would send it to JD, our guitarist, and Harry, our drummer. Those are like the main two that I talk to with like writing and they're like the most available when it comes to that. Drew is really busy with Candy, and Tom Harris is busy with work. But in the beginning, it was like kind of hard because it was like me writing, and I could tell Harry didn't seem as focused. No Pressure was really busy, so like that pays the bills. So it's like I completely understand.
Hmm.
But it was JD and I. We're like the two that will talk about like you said, the North Star. So like
Hmm.
JD is definitely like that. He'll be like, I remember when we started, he was like, Trail is, we need to like figure out what Trail is. And he would just like, he just would keep saying Trail is, or no, Trail is best when dot, dot, dot. And he would like say those words. And I mean, he was just, when he gets on one, he's kind of a quiet guy, but when he gets going, he will like just, he's very inspiring and like he motivates me a lot.
Hmm.
But that was great for like hearing him get excited. So that got me excited. So like I would write music, and then I started like getting my back tattooed at Smith Street in New York. And I would go down there, do a session, and then right around the corner from the shop is where Harry's parents live. And they have like a duplex, so we're able to go in the basement and practice and write. So I'd get tattooed. I mean, it's like, for context for everyone, it's like for me, it was a 7-hour drive from Buffalo to New York City. So I'd have to make the drive, get tattooed, write music with them, record it, go back. So this would happen almost, I would say, for a solid year. I would go down every couple weeks or 3 weeks, get tattooed, and write music. And there was a lot more excitement every time we would practice. And at one point, we were just like, we should probably figure out what we want to do with this. So we had kind of a goal, and we wrote down those words and how many songs we wanted to do, who we wanted to release it with, and what we wanted to do show wise,
Hmm.
and kind of took it from there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm going too in depth. I'm not sure if.
No. It's good. I really appreciate, and I think it's honestly a huge thing that a lot of people when they write record, like, and it's not even that like this is your guys's first time doing an LP. Oh, actually, it is.
No, well, we did War. It's like a shorter LP, but we considered it an LP.
Yeah. So like you
Yeah.
guys have done other major releases, and I think that theme is consistent through and through. But I do tell people that I think the LP is where you put the blood, sweat, the tears, the everything into it. And I have seen the when bands do that, it's like the thing that takes them to the next level and then some. Um,
Yeah.
and like honestly, I think it's a really interesting exercise that I think every band could do with like this band is best when X is in play, or this band is blank, like you were saying. And I don't know, it's even self-reflective for like stuff that I'm doing musically. It's like, man, like what are our three, pillar words that, not only I think are associated with my band, but like, my close friends who are fans of the band as well. So I think it's
Yeah.
cool that you guys kind of, not just like let's write 10 more mosh anthems that we do very, very well. But like, let's think about what are kind of the guiding lights or the principles that we can have set in place when we sit down to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would hope not every band does that, because there's a place for bands that like just are like, we're just gonna do our thing. But I think like we come from Syracuse, and it's like, Earth Crisis, Pat, Another Victim, a lot of like serious, like, I mean, yeah, I mean, very serious bands, like about talking about discipline and animal liberation. And I think that's where it rubbed off on me. And growing up going to shows in Syracuse, I mean, I wasn't going to shows in the 90s, but I was taught like there was a message and um, meaning behind hardcore music. So
Hmm.
I think that's what really rubbed off on me. But yeah, I think that's like we're just like we're goofy people outside of trail, but like within trail, it's just like I don't know how to describe it. I feel like maybe a way to describe it is like when a person sees us live, it's just pure, like unfiltered and raw energy that's just like kind of built up in our everyday lives that we just kind of like compartmentalize and keep in the back, and it's just like kind of explodes on stage.
Right.
I that's like the best way to describe us, I guess.
Hmm. So yeah, it seems like all the stuff for this record, y'all have been like cooking for a long time and making sure everything feels right for it. I think one
Yeah.
like kind of tangent from that aspect, and it's always been very apparent with your lyrical content that it's been very um not like posy kind of like downplays it, but I think the messaging and what you write about is like very uplifting, very forward thinking. And I'm just curious if that comes from like a specific place in your story, or if there's been certain bands, you were mentioning Earth Crisis, who might have like played a little bit of a part in that. Um, and I have some other thoughts that I wanted to bounce off you on just like lyrical content and hardcore in 2024. But let's just start with like, where do you think some of the why from what you write about comes from?
That's a good question. I actually kind of was thinking about it recently. It's like, why is that the thing that I gravitate towards? And I think because I was thinking about like why I write lyrics a certain way. Like I was listening to our demo recently and listening to the lyrics, and some of the lyrics were about like it's about like beef. It's about how much I hate the media, and I feel like they can try to control people. But like the like current lineup or like era of trail, I would say it's like yeah, it is pretty positive, and I think it's because I like listening to trail. Like I'm not ashamed. It's just like I like listening to it in the gym or whatever. Like it motivates me. Like when I'm feeling like I need to like I don't know for work if I'm like kind of having like a low day, I'll throw it on and kind of like amp me up. And I think it's because I listen to the lyrics. It's almost like talking to myself.
Hmm.
All those lyrics, like I mean, I would love for someone to gain something from it and be motivated, but it's really almost kind of like a selfish thing. It's like me yelling at myself to like get fucking going, whatever. Like I never really was into posy hardcore. I can't say that. I was into like one step close or what's it the first step and like betrayed and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
maybe I kind of got it from Earth Crisis and Path. Like they do talk about straight edge and veganism, well, Earth Crisis, but I would say a lot of it is like working on yourself and being the strongest version of yourself you can. I feel like that's what Trail grabbed from those bands because I feel like we don't sound like them, but I feel like lyrically that's something I definitely aspire to.
For sure.
Um, when I'm looking for some like inspiration, I read Path lyrics all the time. Like they're huge. Are you familiar with Path? Path of Resistance?
Oh, of Resistance? I don't think so. No.
Okay, yeah, they're kind of like a niche, like if you know, kind of Syracuse band. Like I can understand if people don't like them. It's like kind of different, but like the lyrics are just like it really like means a lot to me. And it's
Hmm.
like a lot of people in Syracuse that I look up to that are like uncles to me, and um, yeah. But I think that's where I get a lot of my lyrical inspiration from. Also, Hatebreed, like I just like
Yeah.
it's just a classic, and I think that was actually one of my first bands that I listened to. I remember in like 2002 or '03. I remember like being on a road trip with my parents, and I got this like maroon CD, and it was Perseverance, and I was like listening to it. I was like, wow, this is so heavy. But I think I was borrowing it from a friend, maybe Ben Shaw, but like I didn't know that was hardcore because it sounded so like not produced, but like so professional. So I put it in the Slipknot category,
Right.
not
Yeah.
realizing
In
it
the
was
metal side of things. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like there's definitely been like certain things like even when I first discovered you guys that I like naturally I think latched onto because a lot of my entry into hardcore was through like more like melodic kind of hardcore and like I grew up in
Okay.
a Christian household so like anything that was like a little bit more like pausy than like something that was like fuck you and fuck the government and fuck this. It was like, oh, like I just naturally gravitated to some of that a little bit more at the time for sure. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of things like that I don't see the like I feel like when bands nowadays are like writing in that style, I don't know if that they get put into like a separate camp because it's just not the norm of what I see a lot of bands writing about. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people like the world that we live in, there's a lot to be angry and upset and pissed off about for sure. And not to say that you can't take that and turn it into a song that's like trying to be optimistic or trying to give a different perspective. Um, is that something that crosses your mind as far as like the, with this new record coming out, as far as like it's not as I don't know what the word is necessarily, but do you think it might be good that there's not as many bands who are like writing for lack of a better term, positive lyrics?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. I do want to say it's weird that we put out our first single is the title track, which when we wrote that song, I was like, fuck no, that's not going to like why would we do that? But that's more of like the weirdest sounding song on the record, which also is kind of positive, but it also is a little negative. It's almost just like it's a aggressively like raw song where it's like only the strong will survive. It's like you either will or you won't, and it's not talking about like fighting people in the streets. It's like being able to survive as a human, live a fulfilling life. But the rest of the record, honestly, is kind of dark. Like, there's some angry songs. I'm trying to go through, like, there's definitely more angry songs than more positive.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been trying to like think about how to articulate that because I wanted to like talk about this on stage, like when we play songs or play shows. But yeah, there's definitely like a lot of um, things that I've been feeling. Like this is like about 4 years of lyrical content that I've been feeling. Like even if I'm not writing guitar parts, I'm watching movies or listening to things, and if I hear something, it's going into my note, which is just so chaotic, and there's just so much going on there. But the next song we're releasing it's pretty aggressive. It's called My Way, and it has Isaac and Vogel on it, and
Okay.
it's a pressure from society to live life a certain way, the normal way, and being able to say, "Fuck that! I want to live life the way I want to, and I don't care." And that's how that song goes. Then there's some other dark, angry songs, really just about like what's going on in the world right now, how innocent people are dying, and how giant corporations are taking over and kind of having a monopoly on things and just putting money and greed over humanity. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of things like that on the record. I would say for us, it's a darker record, but it's probably 50-50 with like uplifting, but also pretty angry.
Yeah. But, that's really interesting. That's cool to see that there's going to be almost like not like a different side, but like showcasing like some different perspectives on things for sure.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is punk hardcore music. It's like I always believe in having a message and like just letting out your anger in a healthy way through music and hardcore shows. And I feel like this is a good representation of that.
Right. Speaking of letting out your anger in a healthy way, I wanted to talk about I almost want to do a separate podcast where I talk about iconic, like the iconic photo of whatever band it is, and kind of go and explain why. And I think the one for me is the one that you guys used for your cover for the Fearless 2-song promo,
Yeah,
where the guy has the fucking drums. It's just mid hurl. I've watched that video multiple times prepping for this episode, but like also just multiple times initially when it happened. Um, I said earlier that I believe that you guys like write mosh anthems, and the drums are clearly a very big part of it. I just wanted to see if you wanted to kind of like retell some of those of that moment specifically, and obviously like having it captured and being able to use for
yeah,
artwork later on.
yeah. That was one of the craziest shows we played. Um, I mean, it's just like it's hardcore. It's not planned. It was never like we're gonna do this and you're gonna do this at this moment. It was like it was us playing United Blood here in Richmond, actually at Canal Club where we're about to go,
Hmm.
and it was just like a lot of our friends were there, and we were like, I think it was like one of the first times we were playing Strength Through Discipline, and everyone was like, "Oh, just like it'd be so cool to like hear more drums," and like we were looking for like a couple floor toms to use, and we found one, and then there was another. The second one was actually Turnstiles floor tom, and they were just like, "Dude, make sure we get that back. Do not like have because the people who had these ideas, like
They're individuals that you want to maybe have somewhat
yeah,
on a leash.
yeah. I don't want to say like mischievous, but like they're fucking yeah, they're interesting people, and it was make sure Turnstile was just like, "Dude, please make sure we get this drum back." It was like, I think Daniel was so nice to let us use it,
Right.
and, I remember we started playing, it was such a exciting, cool set, and then, Strength was the last song, and it was Steve and Cheddar, both in Candy, that were actually hitting the drums. Body was holding on to the turnstile, um, floor tom, and I mean, I'll just kind of leave names out for the other person, but
Right.
like we started playing the song. It was just like I yeah, I don't really know how to describe it. It was so much fun. It's like so cool hearing so many drums and people screaming and just like and then it hit and then I can't remember maybe I don't think I remember the drum or saw the drum actually being thrown. I think I was turned around at
I
the
think in the
time.
video you turn like right as it's happening.
Yeah, 'cause
You can see a very young Gabe the Pigeon, who I don't know if he snapped the photo, but seeing his facial reaction as it like hurls into
yeah.
dozens of people.
I wanna give her credit. I always forget her name. I wanna say it's like Clarissa or something. She's a sweet girl that took the photo and was nice enough to let us use it. But,
Hmm.
yeah, I think she took the photo and, like, I was like 'cause I have it hanging up 'cause it's just nice to have, but it's, like, funny seeing, like, Jimmy from Higher Power just like that, you know? Um, I didn't even know that was happening when we played the song, and, like, I always thought the craziest part was, like, like, my friend picking up Drew over his head as, like, Drew's on his shoulders and, like, being like, "Hopefully, this person doesn't throw my friend Drew," you know?
Right.
It was just such a crazy show, and then I found out afterwards someone had to go to the hospital, and Braces, who was helping book the show at the time, was like, "You know why I'm here, right?" Like, and it's like kinda talking to me like I'm in trouble, but I was like, "Dude, I didn't do it." Like, I don't know what to tell you. I think it was, the person who actually got hit, thank God they were cool about it. I think they played in Typecast,
Oh, okay.
um, Houston, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on
I
that.
have Joey's number, so I might text him and be like, "Hey, did a member of Typecast get
I
may or may
thought
not
so,
have been hit by?"
but thank God it was, like, during that era, because like, I don't know, like, I don't hardcore is
It's a
different
whole
now.
other can of worms if we ask, would that have
Like,
flown or how much
yeah,
backlash that would happen nowadays. But
yeah,
kind of,
internet.
in my opinion, for band lore for you guys, kind of iconic.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. It's nice that there's like not too many videos of it too, or like pictures being thrown around. It's more of just like, that was like how things were back in the day. Like it was just so cool that like there were like stories about people and you didn't see videos of things.
Yeah.
But
I
now you
mean,
go to
like, just
everyone
to, yeah, like, just to play, like, the Etheria showcase show that just happened, like, last week or something. Like, I forget which band it was, but I was seeing people throwing, like, crazy shit. And it was like like giant metal poles, and they were like flying into the wall and all this. So it's like the violence and the chaoticity. I don't. That's not the word, but the chaotic nature of things is just, it's a part of the game. And
yeah,
again,
people have
nothing's planned. People are just compelled by the mosh anthems.
yeah. I saw videos from that because two Syracuse bands, one called Deal with God and the
Hmm.
other Shara played. And so I saw like videos of them being there. But I kind of see what people say on Twitter about bands and stuff, and I like that it's still happening. Like that's what I saw when I grew up. Like it was enormous people from Philly doing it or people from Albany, New York, but like, you know, people that are newer going to shows, they act like it's new and it's like it's just kind of how it is. And
Yeah,
like,
and
it is.
there is a subtle difference off of like newer kids are coming who have the perspective of like, oh, this is just a raging event versus I'm compelled by the music and I just can't control control myself, air quotes, like there's a difference of like I'm planning to do something because I want to be a delinquent versus I'm on stage and I just have to grab this microphone stage and just fucking, whatever it is. So it's a fine line, but I feel like if you're in it for long enough, you know where the line is.
Yeah, I think it's cool that like seeing hardcore shows like that, like now that Trail's playing shows, it's like people are hitting us up asking like guarantees and people are talking about Spotify numbers and fucking engagement and stuff. And it's just like it's so nice seeing like especially two Syracuse fans going there, doing their thing and being a part of something that is so raw, like what I started uh like what I saw when I started going to shows, and like, it's a proud moment.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Deal with God. We have a separate podcast called Listen Up where we feature a bunch of like new releases from the month. It's like a monthly show that we do, and they were
Oh,
on, I think, our March episode because that's when it came out.
oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but they fucking sick band. Um, I think that I love the tidbit though that you shared about the fact that it was the a turnstiles floor tom, and
Yeah,
it
that
was like
actually was
this.
you
Oh
could
wait,
see
wait.
body run off, kind of
Yes,
scurry away
exactly. Because
turnstile
I was
one.
like, "Oh, is he gonna throw the other one?" He's like, "Nope, not this one. This is for the very important band."
Yeah. And actually, I think another piece of lore, I'm pretty sure for that year of United Blood, Daniel had some like a personal injury where he couldn't play drums. Something with his
Oh,
muscle, pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure I think the drummer of Citizen, drummer of Twitching Tongues, and another person all played like two or three songs
hmm.
for Turnstile that year. It was really cool.
I'll have to look up those videos too, because that's very cool.
God, I hope it's that year.
It, yeah, maybe not. Someone can fact check it.
Yeah.
So, Tom, one of the other things that I wanted to hit on, a little outside of the band stuff, but something that you clearly takes up a lot of your day is Gold Set. I'm at, like, I didn't. Well, I didn't intentionally to wear this for the episode.
Yeah.
So
How's it
shout out to
holding?
Speed, holding
It
up.
looks
Yeah, it's been great. I picked it up when they played here like their first show in Canada, which was in Toronto, and that was like just over a year ago. So yeah, it's holding up great.
Great. I love it. Yeah, like especially with embroidery, I could see like, this hoodie, it's like this is French terry, so it kind of like goes down a little bit, but like
Yes.
the
No, this
embroider,
sits
yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
it gives it the embroidered logos almost give it more of like rigid structure, you
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I was really
So
excited about.
I guess like let's start at like the beginning of that. Like when did the ideal of starting kind of like a well, I guess yeah, we'll start at the beginning, but I am curious on how much Gold Set does on the production side as well as the design, because it seems like you guys you tip your foot into both of those.
Yeah, yeah, and it actually intertwines with trail. When trail was playing, we like making merch and standing out. So me and the bassist Tom Harris wanted to make some fanny packs, so we figured out how to source those and what fabric to use, how to make them cool, interesting, and high quality. And him and I started working together, making stuff for Trail. Other bands wanted some stuff, so we started making it for them. And we had like a small company. And then I moved to Richmond, so him and I kind of split ways. And because it was just like hard with the distance and everything. But then I started Gold Set, and I mean, I can say it now because Gold Set's my full time thing, but I was a telemarketer during COVID. It fucking sucked, and I was doing that, making like 250 calls a day, doing Gold Set on the side, and just like as soon as I woke up in the morning, I worked until like I went to bed because it was just like I had to do two jobs. And when I was getting sloppy at Gold Set and my full time job as a telemarketer, I just quit the telemarketing job. So it's like this is not worth it, and I made the jump, and it was scary, especially during COVID. With so much uncertainty. But I started off with like Tear H2O, which led into like Jedi Mind Tricks, just like a hip hop artist who's
Hmm.
like boys with Tear, and our main thing is making a great product within the timeline that the client is looking for and just giving great service. Those three things, that's like I have it written down. That's all I focus on because we don't do a lot of marketing or advertising, anything like that. It's really just like we try to get clients from word of mouth because I think that's just like the best way to get a referral from a customer or anything. It really just validates what you're doing and the product you're selling.
Right.
So started there, have a graphic designer. His name's Justin Gauvin. He actually, God, he's gonna kill me. He either definitely designed, he might have even put out the first Earth Crisis 7 inch.
Oh,
And
okay. Damn.
he like runs Cabal, and like he's like the guy when it comes to like stuff like that. So it's nice having him, especially with like working with hardcore bands, like he definitely has like a very impressive background. He worked at Bravado in New York City with Sony and Universal. But yeah, it just was us working with hardcore bands, some metal bands, and then got hooked up with some bigger merch companies they're just like enormous corporations, and they contract work out to us. Um, I just carved out a little niche of making cut and sew merchandise. So we actually produce the garment rather than screen printing. We also screen print and embroider onto the garment. But yeah, that's really what it's turned into. And now we have clients such as like Jack Harlow, 21 Savage. We're working on Avril Lavigne stuff. Um, we're
Yeah,
doing
like
Connor.
looking at your LinkedIn, like Four Loco, UFC, Wu Tang Clan, Megan the Stallion, System of a Down, Corn, Wiz Khalifa, like those are some
Yeah.
fucking household names.
Yeah, and we're really excited. Today we just finished up a deck for Conor McGregor. He's doing a fight in Vegas at the end of June. So we do a lot of UFC stuff, and we do like some fighters too, like Sean O'Malley and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And I'm sure a
But
lot of that is also word of mouth where it's like they're
yeah,
doing some kind of press junction. And it's like, where'd you get that fucking jacket? And it's like, oh,
yeah.
Gold set.
And if you can believe it or not, it was kind of through hardcore. Like the person that I work, the person that I know with the company, I toured with him. He played in a band that toured with us, and well, Naysayer back in the day, and it was funny tours. First Blood, Born from Pain, Betrayal, and Naysayer, and that's how I met him. And yeah, it's just like that's another thing. It's like that I wanted to talk about with Trail is like it's in that song My Way. It's like I was always taught to live this certain life that was like a normal lifestyle and like go to school, get a job, whatever, and do your thing. But like I did that. I dropped out and all the connection, not even connection. I hate calling it connections. It's friends I've made in hardcore and alternative music have turned to like my colleagues and connections in the professional world. And yeah, it's so exciting and I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see, and like especially the type of shit that you guys do, and now that it's like, it sounds like you're trying to do as much in house, if not everything is happening in house now as possible. Like it
Yeah.
is like you can go to there's probably 4 or 5 people in your local area, depending where you're listening to this, who will screen print white ink on a black shirt. But if you want something that's like fucking like got all these little subtle details and it's like kind of like a bigger, like cool, like I'm on the fanny pack side bag
Yeah.
page on the website right now, but like you guys have done like some really interesting stuff. I am curious on what maybe is the most challenging like new thing that you guys took on, and maybe it was like down to the wire and you had to like fucking problem solve to get it done in time. Does anything come to mind?
Um, I would say just standard growing pains. There was a point when we started making outerwear for like pants or bottoms or shorts, and that was a huge learning curve. And I learned a lot about the type of stitch and fabric you need to use for that, especially if you're, s- you know, as a human, you're walking, you're using your legs, you're lifting your legs up, and you're also squatting down, kneeling. If you're squatting and it's a straight stitch, that's going to tear and right in your crotch area. And I definitely had some upset people, and I feel horrible about it. The people that got that product, but we've grown so much since then, and I've
Right.
actually taken sewing myself to learn more about what we do and really just make the best product possible. Like there's a hoodie that I actually made myself, and it's like if that's another thing too. It's like people try to do cut and sew, and it's like it's so hard to do, and you can't just go somewhere and be like, okay, let's make this. It's like you really need to know so much about the garment in
Mm-hmm.
order to produce it.
Yeah. Um, I think like one other question I had, especially with some of these like bigger clients that you're bringing in, like what's been the biggest order, as far as number of items or things that you guys you got in like one, one invoice order for all of that.
Yeah. Let's say we're doing some tour stuff for Avril Lavigne, and that's been keeping us busy. I can't say numbers like that, but I'm very, very like we. It looks easy, and it looks just like, oh, this is everything they do, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Especially like there's a design side that's like so much that goes on, even stuff that I don't even know about that Guav does. Like, and then there's so much with like production and logistics, and
Hmm.
so yeah, that's our biggest order so far.
Yeah. Is that for like a world tour? I imagine if it's anything, it's in the thousands, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's for her North American tour. I think it's starting this week, actually. I think she's Canadian, I'm pretty sure. So
She
it's
is.
we yeah, we shipped it over to, like, Western Canada, I think, like, Vancouver area.
Hmm.
I I think it's where it's starting. Yeah, her, UFC keeps us busy. Um, we also started doing a makeup brand, Anastasia Beverly Hills. Um, that's been really cool because they just have great style. It's just like some French terry, 100% cotton items, and I always love that. Your
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
minimalist logos and stuff.
Hmm.
But
Um,
yeah,
is there um sorry, I was just I was getting lost in your collection. There's so much cool shit here.
yeah.
What do you think has been the um what's this, I know they're all your children, but what's one that like is one of your most proud like pieces or designs that you did maybe last year. Maybe that'll be a little bit easier for you to pull one
Okay.
from.
Um, I would say maybe like the drain plushie. That was so much fun to work with. It was like, have you seen it? It's like a Cupid
Yes.
doll. Like,
Yes.
okay. So I never met anyone in Drain, and I either started talking to Sammy or their manager James about making merch, and we started doing stuff for them. And I love working with Sammy. He's just like so pleasant to talk to. Like, I'm sure you notice this in the professional world. Not everyone is the nicest to talk to. And he's just like a breath of fresh air. He's so pleasant, so nice, so stoked. I even toured with them over in Europe, and it was like he's always in a good mood. But that was nice because it was like my friend, and it was like bringing something that they've worked so hard on curating to life, and it selling so well was awesome. Um, yeah, I would say that's probably one of the more proud moments.
Yeah. I'll have to send a photo of that to Jordan to edit in to the podcast here because
Okay, yeah,
it's fucking so sick. And honestly, like, and this kind of transitions to one of the last like gold set questions I had, and I kind of prepped you for this before we got into it, but I think a lot of bands nowadays, like, I think that there is a lot of people are open to do like really colorful shit, like do little like one-offs of like a bag or like something that's a little bit off the beaten path of like the traditional white ink on a black shirt with the live shot on the back.
yeah,
Because unfortunately every band ever has done that, and there's so much more that could be done with it. But I guess, and this is a hard question, but where's the line when it comes to like high risk, high reward merch? Because like you could do like a fucking like yellow, pink, and blue windbreaker, and I'm just using that as an example because it's on your website. But like it doesn't guarantee that you're gonna sell out within the first show. So I'm curious on where you find like a band can push and where it's like maybe you should only stay within this pocket.
yeah. I would say any band who is leaving for like say a 30-day tour, I think it's like a good decision, okay decision to make a cut and sew item. I would keep the price per unit under like $16 per unit. So that's probably like making a pair of mesh shorts or like a hat, because it's like 100 units and that's how much you would pay. And in hardcore world, not everyone has a lot of money, like, but they want to support the band. So maybe like a $30, $40 price point is probably the max,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, I think anything above that price point would not be the smartest for a band.
Do you think it's a little bit easier to justify if you're going on tour versus you're just a local band?
Yeah, I would say definitely tour because there's 30 opportunities to sell those hats or something rather than like one or two shows every couple months.
Right. And then it's like, oh, you still got the fucking blue flamingo crew neck, or I don't know. Like,
Yeah. But then if the band is touring, they must be a certain size and they must have a certain following, so they probably have more people at those shows, you know?
yeah,
That's our thing too. I usually try to, like, in a professional way, kinda, like, deter some bands from making cut and sew items because, like, the last thing I wanna do is have, Triple B sit on fanny packs. If a band wants to do 300 of something, I usually recommend maybe doing 100, selling out, creating more demand, and then going for 300 next year, you know?
right, right.
But it makes me look bad if they're sitting on that inventory. They're like, "Oh, the
True.
gold stuff
Yeah.
aren't moving," like, my thing has always been, like, high demand items.
hmm Yeah. And sometimes you gotta just break off the page, like, versus giving someone the full page to turn over. You gotta incentivize it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's cool. Like, as as someone who has a piece of your memorabilia for one of my favorite Australian hardcore bands, this shit rules. And I hope that one day um, that we get to do something of a similar arc, because I think what you're doing is like very, very it's very, very cool. And like
Thank
it's cool when you go to a table and you see like that is almost like the feature thing. There could be like
Yeah,
6 or 7 shirts around it, but that's the thing that everyone's eyes are drawn to.
yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing I recommend is, like, when I do stuff for a band, it's like, for End It, for example, we did some mesh shorts, and I'm just like, "Let's just keep it at mesh shorts, nothing more," like, you don't wanna, like, sit on it too much inventory, but, like, that should be, like, the one piece. Sell the black T-shirts, like, that's gonna be your, like, staple piece, but
Yeah, that's the bread and
yeah.
butter. This is like the fucking special jam. That's a crazy like combo of fruits, and you spread that on.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually should have mentioned too, I toured with Turnstile for a couple years after COVID, and I tour managed one, and then I sold merch on one. So, like, it was a nice glimpse into, like, the professional world of selling merchandise. Like, some days we were selling merch nonstop for about 6 hours, but we
hmm
were able to see, like, okay, the black T-shirt still sells. But yeah.
Yeah, it's punk and DIY. Like, some people are just like that's a go-to. It's a day,
Yeah.
you know, a daily choice. Tom, a
Yeah.
couple other questions before we head towards the close. You like chips?
I do. I You talking about, like, potato chips kinda style?
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Frito
used to
Lay's specifically?
I used to work for Frito-Lay, and I never had chips before that, and then I started working there, and, like,
You
I only
became a
had, like
chip guy.
yeah. I actually haven't had chips. My girl and I, she was just saying that, like, we haven't had chips in about a year because we're like, "It's so bad for you." We've been doing some research on, like, stuff that goes into food, but, like, yeah, I love chips.
Well, okay. So health conscious guilt aside, um, I listed a few Frito Lays, and we're just gonna quickly rifle them off as like gas or ass. So
Okay.
I just want your like raw, honest opinion. If you want to dive into it a little bit more and justify your reasoning, have at it. But it's just this or that, gas or ass, Frito Lay's,
Okay.
um, Chip Tom edition. You ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. Start off very simple, just Lay's. And
Yeah.
I will also say before you answer, this is not a specific flavor, but it's like the encompassing of the brand.
Oh, okay, okay. So Lay's,
Lay's chips,
gas,
gas. Okay. Specific flavor of Lay's you fuck with?
classic.
Just classic.
Actually, wavy. Wavy's better.
Okay, wavy is better. Okay.
Yeah. A little
Um, Next up, Doritos, gas or ass?
gas. The vegan
Gas.
ones.
The vegan
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Are some vegan and some not? What's the ratio
Yeah.
to that?
Nacho cheese isn't. Cool Ranch isn't.
Oh, okay,
I
that
have,
makes sense.
yeah. Sweet spicy chili. I'm pretty sure it is. I only know all this stuff because I used to work there. Like,
Well,
not
yeah,
eating.
it's not just like like you're a certified chip professional.
Yeah, dude. I used to work there for like 4 or 5 years. That literally was my life, just like helping my guys stock chips.
Yeah.
All
Um,
right,
Cheetos, gas or ass?
gas.
Really?
Yeah, those were dope. I was like, when I started working there, I was vegetarian, so I still had some of the stuff, and then I went vegan. But I haven't had it since. Like I used to love like hot Cheetos,
Hmm.
but it's a slippery slope. You can't have that stuff.
um, Sun chips.
Ass.
Yeah, I think we could do without the sun chips.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think no one's gonna shed a tear. Tostitos.
Gas for
Okay,
sure.
for
Yeah,
sure. You
the
you
way
you need it for
that
the nachos.
I love the multigrain ones. The way that they salt it, it's like this tiny like salt particles. Like I don't know how they do it, but like you can't see it, but it's so salty. I love it.
Hmm. Do you like the cups or just a regular flat?
Yeah, I like scoops. Yeah,
You like scoops? Okay, fuck.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Fritos. Fritos is next.
That's gas.
That's gas? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had Fritos in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, they're definitely kinda like an old school snack, I would say, but I just like a I love like a thick potato chip or like a thick corn chip.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got next? Oh, Spits. So this is a little outside of chip territory, but
I don't know what that is.
it's like
Spits?
it's like it's like sun is it sunflower seeds? It's like shit that you would eat at like a baseball game. You can like spit it out.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's ass.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Back to chips. Funyuns.
ass. Hating. I hate it.
I think it's one of the worst snack names ever.
You don't like the name? The name is dope. The product is
Funyuns? It's
yeah, you're
not
having
even
fun.
spelt like onions. It's got a Y in there.
This is some American shit, man.
Yeah, I'll never get it as a Canadian. Um, two more. Ruffles.
That is gas. It used to be ass till I realized that it's dope. It's crazy. When I was there, I could see that they were marketing. So their demographic. Sorry, this is like nerd shit.
No. I want the chip lore.
So they started marketing towards a young professional male who specifically liked gaming and basketball. So all of their stuff went to they would like have it like NBA focused, or they would have it like some Xbox collab or something like that. But like
Mm.
only targeting young men, which I don't know why, but I don't know. I mean, it's smart because they're like it was like an older chip, I would say, and then they try to like rebrand it as something.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of a big thing in Canada, right? The all dressed kind.
Mm-hmm. All dress ruffles are fucking goated, dude.
Never had it. It kind of like looked gross to me, but like so I worked in Syracuse and I had a little bit of the northern country and like
Sure.
all of it was like maybe like 20 minutes from Canada and all those people would come down and grab it.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
As soon as you were saying the wavy lays, I'm like, you're pretty much in Ruffles territory at that point. So,
Yeah.
okay. Last one to end us off on the chip talk. Munchies, which is kind of like an assortment of a ton of shit. So,
Oh yeah. I'd say I'm gonna say indifferent because like that was just like fine. I remember like they would be like it kind of like in the break room and it'd be like, here's the munchie mix.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that also wasn't a good seller
So
too.
not gas or ass. It's a pass. We're not even gonna touch it.
Yeah, it's just like it's fine. Like if I'll have it, I guess if I have
Mhm.
to. I do want to say I don't condone Frito-Lay products. So just like,
Yeah, this is not a sponsored segment.
oh, dude,
Um,
I'm no saint. I have so many other like vices and stuff like that, but like that corporation, I do not fuck with. I try to not support it when I am able to, or like we're not on the road, but like I don't know. That's another like freeing thing. Like having my own business is like not having to work for a corporation like that.
right.
But sorry, on my Earth crisis shit.
Do you have a go-to snack outside of all these things that you would like to plug?
um, my girlfriend's baking. She makes some great. My favorite is like a chocolate chip cookie, and she's been making these like chocolate chip scones. She's gluten free, so she has to use oat flour. She like grinds up the oats and uses that as the flour, and it's amazing.
That sounds
But
insane.
I'm no
So,
saint. When we're on the road, I'll have Taco Bell and shit like that. When we're here, we eat clean and try to like buy local.
yeah. Well, what's your girlfriend's name, or do you want to disclose that? I was just wanting to shout out her cookies.
Liz, yeah.
Shout out to Liz's Cookies. Maybe check them on the
Yeah.
Trail Lives merch table on the road this
Yeah.
summer. Um, Tom, one of the last things that I always end our episodes with is a favorite Mosh related story that you would like to share. So that's anything that first comes to your mind. Could be wholesome, gruesome, something funny, something scary, something band related or not. Whatever's first to your brain is how we start to end the show.
The
Ooh.
only thing that's coming to mind is I got knocked out one time. Really, the only time I've been knocked out was by one of my best friends, Ben Shaw, the one who like got me into like hardcore and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a show in Syracuse, and it was during Blacklisted, and I was like kind of standing on the edge of the like area, whatever, and he like swung back. And I don't really remember what happened. I remember just, like, waking up on the ground, and I've never felt that feeling since, but it was, like, fucking crazy. He's also just, like, not a big guy, but he fucking hit so hard.
just like, just a it's like you don't look left, but you look right, and then the train comes and takes you
Exactly.
out. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, Tom, it's been honestly super fun chatting with you and learning a little bit about the band stuff, what's to come with this new record, all the stuff you're doing with the Gold Set. All the links to everything you're doing will be in the show notes in the description of the episode so people can find those and check that out. Anything you want to shout out, anything you want to send the people off on, or anything you want to plug?
Just Only the Strong coming out July 19th. Just pre-order it, go listen to it, do something cool.
Do something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great words to
Awesome.
live by.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you once again. I'm hoping that I get to see you guys once. We were mentioning before getting on that I initially was put on when you guys were gonna play Calgary, but maybe
Yeah.
it's a good time for Trail Lives to come up to Western Canada.
We
Do
would
some
love to.
hiking.
Is it Whistler that's out there?
Whistler's in more like Vancouver area, but
Okay.
if you're thinking of like Lake Louise or Banff or all of that, that's
Yeah, that was
that's in
it, yeah.
my backyard, so to speak.
Okay. Fuck yeah. Yeah, like, we would love to. We like, the guitarist JD and I love to hike, and we're always, like, looking to go places, play show, and then hike.
Yeah, in that order.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure something will come in the near future, but thank you once again, Tom, for joining us today. It was really fun.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.